Hey everyone, in this video I want to talk about 10 different styles that I found on TeePublic. A lot of people ask me, how do I get to the next tier, the top tier, the artisan tier, and how do I get sales on TeePublic? And I think designing in the right style for the right audience and TeePublic will really help. So I'm going to go through TeePublic and show you 10 different styles that you can do that I think will help you get some sales. Now before I show you that, for those that don't know what TeePublic is, I'm going to go to TeePublic right now and kind of give you a quick overview of what it is and kind of look at the styles there as well, and then I'll get into the 10 different styles. Alright, so here I am on TeePublic. You can see teepublic.com. It is a print-on-demand site, so you upload your designs. You'll have to sign up, of course. You can see that I signed up. And you upload your designs here, and they'll put it on t-shirts, hoodies, hats, tank tops. You can see stickers here. And then that's all you really have to do is upload it, type in the name of the title and tags and all of that, and put it on the colors you want, and then no inventory. It's print on demand. You don't have to hold an inventory and anything. They'll do it for you and everything. So I'm not going to get way into it, but it's a print on demand site and everybody can get in. It's free for everyone to start, and they pay you when you make a sale. So a lot of people want to know, like, because everyone can get on there, not everyone's getting sales. And if you notice here, you'll notice that a lot of these designs are artsy designs. Like, they're created by an artist, right? Either hand-drawn or illustrative, or if I come down here, look, some cartoon things. So that's what I did. I went through here and kind of looked at the different styles that you're seeing here and the most popular ones, and kind of group them together so you can kind of see which styles they're doing well. Now, of course, I'm only doing 10 different styles. I'm not doing all the different styles. And a lot of these are pop culture related, so I'm kind of staying away from, you know, the people that are popular or the things that are trademarked or have IP like these. So I'm trying to look for other things. So let's not look at that. I may have some IP stuff on mine too, but we're looking at style, not topic. So for topics, you can come down here and go all the way down here. If you don't know what topics to use, they have a tag directory right here, and you can use these topics. Now, a lot of these topics also are IP stuff, right? Like, I don't know, a lot of them here. Final Fantasy VIII, I would stay away from that. Stay away from Taylor Swift, stay away from Speed Racer, and so on. But there are some things that you can do, like 4th of July right here. Resist, I think that's going to be fine. Let's see. Skull, I think skulls are fine. Disney, don't do that. Friday the 13th, if it's the movie, no, if it's the day, you're fine. So you have to kind of go through these, of course, not use any of them, but this is where you get the topics from, the popular topics, and then do it in the styles that I'm showing you. And I think that can really help you get some sales when you're here on TeePublic. Now, it's not going to guarantee you sales, but I think if you do it in the style that people are looking for and are popular here, now don't copy this, but you can see, like, this is a cartoony style. So a cartoony style with this kind of face, and that's one of the ones I'm going to show you, could be very popular and could help, but don't do the iceberg with the Titanic and say boop, right? Do a different topic, pick the topic in this style and make it your own thing. So I'm gonna go to my 10 topics, or 10 styles, sorry, that I made, and then we're gonna look at it. I'm gonna talk about it and what you can do and what makes these styles, and hopefully help you get some sales so that you can, you know, start getting some things with TeePublic as you put more and more things. Now, everything's not gonna sell. I don't sell everything on my site, but I have sold a bunch of things on my site, just so you can see. So you can see here on my store, I've sold over 13,000 different things. I've made over 30,000 total lifetime sales. This is my take home July so far. That's just this month. I've made 15, so in the last day, I guess today I've made that. And then this is the next payment that I'm getting. Not all my designs sell, but I have a lot of top sellers, and some of those I'll put in my styles as well. So I'll tell you about those. So let's get to those 10 styles and let me help you out. All right, the first style, I wanted to put this and get it out of the way because a lot of people say, can I just do text designs and sell that on TeePublic? And I think you can. A lot of the top sellers on TeePublic are text designs, but they're simple but funny text. So make sure you're not just putting random words on here. A lot of these are funny, so you got to really think about it. And I wouldn't base your whole store around these. And like these could sell, you know, I have a few on my shop that's just text and they're funny and they sell. But TeePublic's looking for shops that have a variety of things, not just simple text. If you just do text and that's all you do on there, I don't know if TeePublic is going to move you to artisan. They actually want to see designs made by artists. That's why it's called artisan. And these are just too simple for a whole shop to do that. So I would say do some of these if you want. I think these can be simple wins, but don't do the whole thing. So the next thing I want to show you is one of mine. This is mine right here. And I call this vintage text, but with style. So you can see all of these look like vintage text, but all of them have a different kind of thing. Either a swash down here, like I have right here. This one has a lightning bolt. This one's done in a cool font with like a brush look and everything. So if you can take that to the next level, and it doesn't have to be a lot of words in this case. You can see only this word has a thing on it, the swoosh on it. The style, I'm calling it. But it can be one word, it can be 3 words, it can be one word and the other words are anything but, and just simple. But the idea is just to give it a little more style. Now we're talking about the artisan, the artistry of it. So this can work too. I got a lot of sales on this one, and it's funny too. So it's kind of doing the funny thing that we talked about in the first one, but with some style and vintage style. And you know, all of these, or these two have to do with cities, and I think those do well too. So again, I wouldn't just do this one as your whole shop, doing vintage text but with style in your whole shop. I think this needs to be used sparingly as well. So I have this, but my whole shop isn't like this. Most of my designs have graphics in them. So for the third one, the third style here, I'm calling simple cartoons with dot eyes and simple words. So just really simple. The reason I put dot eyes is because that's how simple these cartoons are. You can see they're hand drawn, but they're not like super elaborate. You can just put 2 eyes and a mouth, like 2 dots and a mouth here, and they do well. Sometimes they can have more words than others, but usually the words are really simple, and it's the graphic that's telling the story. In this case, the graphic's telling the story of the Titanic hitting the iceberg, and this one, it's telling the story of the grilled cheese. That's what it is. This one's the breakfast club. They're all different breakfast foods, right? So use this, and I think you could base a whole store off of this. So if you're really good at drawing, or if you want AI to draw like simple ideas and then put like a little word here or words around here, I think that can really do well for your designs. Make it funny, make it cute or whatever, have it tell a story, and it can just be simple design, simple cartoons, I'm calling it. Simple cartoons with these just dot eyes and simple mouth there. And I think this can be done really easily, especially you don't have to be a superb artist. I don't think I'm a really great artist. I drew this, but it's, you know, some of these things are pretty simple to draw. Now the next one is a little harder to draw, and I'm calling this vintage cartoon with a vintage style. So you can see these cartoons are almost like mascots. They have the feet like this, or this one is just drawn in a silly way, like an old vintage 70s way. And you can get AI to do this. You can ask it to create vintage cartoons, or you can look for these things like on Creative Fabrica. I know Kiddo has some vintage mascot cartoons, and then put some words around it. So you can see kind of, that's what makes it more vintage, is kind of the vintage font and some of the stars and kind of these lines, and have it doing some actions, walking or whatever, and then like do something around it. So you can see a lot of these have the graphic, but then they have a lot of vintage text around it. It's not just one word like the other ones were. This is kind of a whole thing. So you can base your whole shop off of this kind of style. I think that would work well if you want to do all your designs in this style, this kind of vintage cartoon style. I think you can do really well with this. Just make sure that it fits and it's something that people like. So go to those topics again that we showed in the beginning and come up with a cartoon style, and then build your vintage design around it with the words and vintage text and the colors. You can see they're all like have that vintage feel. So this is a really good one to do. It's kind of a step up from the simple cartoons, but it still, I think, does really well because this looks like an artist drew it, even though you may not be the artist that drew it. So the next one is another step up of drawing style, and this one's I'm calling a detailed cartoon in the vintage style. So you can see the lines, there's a lot more lines on these cartoons here, right? They're not just simple like the first one, or they're not like the mascot one where they look more like the vector art where just a line around it. This one look like animals with fur, and then they still have that vintage style with it. Now again, you can build your whole shop around this kind of thing too, where the graphics of the animals or food or whatever you're doing kind of are more detailed. So vintage illustration detail, you can put kind of those things in AI, or look for these kind of artwork in when you're looking on Kiddo or Canva or Creative Fabrica. I think you can do that. Now, you don't have to do the vintage sunset in the back. I think you can put other things in the back like you can see here, and just make it more vintage. So I think that can really help base your whole store around this. This can be a style that you set for your store and come up with funny, you know, again, funny is the thing that I think sells a lot on TeePublic. There's funny, there's vintage, those kinds of things. I think mashing those together with the style right here and your topic can do wonders and get you a lot of sales on TeePublic. The next one, the next style, again, is a vintage thing. You'll notice that vintage is going to be a big topic on here. I just found a lot of vintage stuff. But this one is more like a vintage advertising, a business style. So you can see this one's talking about a lodge. This one's talking about a motel. This one's talking about a restaurant. And they're all kind of in that old vintage one color. This one's just blue, and this one's just, I'm saying blue, but it's white on this. This one's just that yellow. This one's that color, one color as well. So you can see like they're just the one color. They have that vintage feel because it's one color, but they also have the vintage like bigger words and smaller words, you notice there, because it's kind of like that advertising style where they have the hierarchy of the big word, small words to fill the space, some graphics in there, and so on. So this is vintage. I'm calling it advertising style or business style. I think can do really well. And you can, again, base your whole shop around stuff like this. You'll just have to find different topics for different kinds of advertising or business things on here, and you could make stuff up. I think that's the thing that will be really funny. There's probably not a Blue Cat Lodge. I'm not sure. It's funny that there's a fish for Blue Cat, and I think that's what makes it funny. Aloha Motel, there's probably not an Aloha Motel. Maybe this is from a TV show, I don't know. But you can make some stuff up, and I think it still would be funny to do it. It doesn't have to be a real thing. It doesn't have to be from pop culture. I think you can make things up in this case. But as long as it has this one color vintage style with the bigger words and the smaller words in there to kind of fill the space. Now the next style that I notice a lot on TeePublic is just this vintage sunset with some simple text in here. So you can see the vintage sunset can be whatever color. This one's mine here, so this one sells a lot for me as well. The vintage sunset with some silhouette in here in front of the sunset. You can see here the silhouette of a helicopter. This is a silhouette of a park. Sometimes it has the sun or moon in here in the circle, sometimes it doesn't, but I think the silhouette in front of the vintage sunset with some vintage style text around it. So it doesn't have to be a lot of text. In my case, I just have two. This one has 3-4 lines of text. This one has that. And again, the bigger and smaller text really helps. So you can see the bigger font here, smaller, and then smaller. Mine has a bigger and smaller. This one has bigger, smaller, smaller. So kind of that hierarchy on there. And it can be below like mine, or it can be above like this. But I think the part that really sticks out is the vintage sunset part. So this vintage sunset can be a circle. In all these cases, it is kind of a circle, but you can also have the straight one as well. So these work really well. And just think of different things. You can do like cities, you can do just, you know, vacation things and so on. You can even put animals in here, and I think if a silhouette of a Bigfoot or a deer or a bear or whatever, those work too. I have one that has a bear in front of this and it does really well. So very easy to do. Just look for there's vintage sunsets all over Canva. You can make your own pretty easily, and then there's silhouettes all over Canva and Kiddo and Creative Fabrica. So just find the silhouette, put it in front of the vintage sunset, come up with text that match, and there you go. You have a really cool one. Doesn't have to necessarily be funny. Like this Moab, Utah isn't funny, it's outdoors, but funny could work as well. All right, this next one I'm calling vintage logo artwork, and it can be in a circle, but it can be an oval. It could be in a square as well, but you notice they all kind of have this distressed texture on it, and they all look like they're for a company or some kind of logo. So I don't know if these have IP. Like, I don't know if Tragically Hip is a band or whatever, or Frog Bros Comics is actually a place, but you can make up a place, have fun with it. Just have the vintage colors, make sure you put the distressed texture on it, and have fun designing inside of a circle. I think the circle shape is a really easy one to design inside, because you have this shape already and it works well on a t-shirt. But the oval also works really well too. You could have a tall oval or a long oval as well. So just think of the vintage idea and go through those topics like I said, and try and make up like a thing. Like a lot of these have a date in them too. So you'll notice that this one says 1984, 1987, 1977, I think it says. So think about that when you're designing yours. It could be a sports related, it could just be a company related or anything. And I think this can really help you get some sales. I think people are looking for this style on TeePublic, and when they find yours, they might want to buy it because it looks really cool. All right, the next style that I've seen a lot is this just black and white but realistic looking design. So you notice this one is a turntable. It looks like a turntable, like somebody took a shot with a camera on it from above, and that's what it is. And this one, a cassette and earphones, and it looks realistic. Like it's just not a negative, but it's just a black and white of it. And this one is a raccoon, although it's probably not real that the raccoon is doing this. Probably AI that did it. So you can get AI to create black and white realistic photos of different things. Now these two have to do with music, but this one doesn't. So again, look through those topics, think of different things, objects, or things, even animals that you could put in front that looks realistic. Some of them can be found on things like Canva, but I would think if you're trying to create something that isn't real but looks real, I would think using AI can really help. And the last one I want to talk about is this thinking/speech bubbles cartoon. So it's again cartoon, a lot of them with the really easy eyes, I call them, with the circles and there, but this one doesn't have that. So it can be any cartoon really, but the idea is they're talking, or either talking to each other, talking to a group, or just even thinking, and this one's kind of thinking it. So play around with that. Think of the story, the conversations between two different things, or someone in a group, or just thinking about different things. And I think this one can really be one that gets people's attention, especially if it's funny. A lot of these are funny puns or funny things, and this is a great one to add to your collection. So especially if you're already doing the cartoon one, I think this one, like, use that same style cartoon that you're doing, any one of those cartoons, and then add these to it where you can have the talking bubbles or the thinking bubbles on there. And I think that can help you get even more sales because it's super creative and it looks as if an artist did it. So again, all of these kind of has that feel like an artist either took the photo or an artist created the designs, and that's what we're going for on TeePublic. They really want to get to that artisan level and have that. Like this one, that's why I'm saying this one doesn't feel like an artisan thing. This is just text, but everything else you'll notice kind of feels like very artsy. Now again, these are just 10 of the ones that I found. There's a lot of different styles out there on TeePublic, and way more than 10. But if you see one that you like, try them out. Try out different styles with different topics. Don't copy exactly what people are doing, but you can kind of get an idea of what kind of styles are selling on there, what kind of styles people are looking for. And that way, as you do those styles, you may come up with your own style and then stick to that and see if that works. So there you go. Those are the 10 styles that I think will help you get some sales on TeePublic and move you to the artisan level if you're not there already. And I think these are great. These should be really helpful for you. I do some of these myself. And I hope this will help you again in TeePublic if you're on there. If you're not on there already, you can start with these. I think this is a great way to start as well. Thanks again for watching. If you want to see another video about AI and how to use AI, I talked a little bit about using AI to make some of these styles. I'll put this video right here where I'll show you or talk about 10 different ways that you can use AI to help you on your print-on-demand journey. Thanks again for watching, and as always guys, keep creating and keep learning. I'll see you on the next one.